like to call the Plainville Planning and Zoning Commission's July 14th, 2026 meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call, and Nika, would you please sit for Tom tonight?
Yes, I will.
All right, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is a workshop session, POCD proposed revision, open space designation of 34 Ledge Road, 65-day referral period. We're still in that window, correct, John?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so that needs to stay as is. Moving on to item 3, we have 2 public hearings tonight. Kurt, would you be so kind as to read the call to the public hearing?
Please publish the following legal advertisement in the Southington Plainville Citizen on Fridays, July the 3rd, 2026 and July 10th, 2026. Legal notice. Planning and Zoning Commission, Plainville, Connecticut. The Planning and Zoning Commission of Plainville, Connecticut will hold a public hearings on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. to hear and consider the following applications. Unionville Avenue, PZ 04/26, number 15, special exception, deposition of earth material, The Gardens LLC, map 10/block E/lot 02 space 0, Unionville Avenue, deposition of material, article number 4, basic standards, sections 4.06, removal and deposition of earth materials, 25,000 cubic yards. The next is amendments to the Plan of Conservation and Development. The Planning and Zoning Commission has proposed amendments to Chapter 9 entitled Business Economic Development, page 54, and Chapter 10 entitled Guide Housing/Residential Development, page 63 and 65. The proposed amendments can be reviewed on the town's website and are also filed with the town clerk's office. Written comments can be submitted to the town planner. Plainville, Connecticut, 24th of June, 2026. Jennifer Bartis Early, Chairperson, Plainville Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you. The first item for the public hearing is item number 1, PZ 06/26, number 21, special exception, deposition of earth material, The Gardens LLC, map 10, block E, lot 020, Unionville Avenue, deposition of material, section 4.06. Good evening, Attorney Galsky. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Commissioner William Galsky, Galske, 73 East Main Street, on behalf of the applicant, The Gardens LLC. Did you all get the big maps on this? Did you get a chance to look at them? So pull it out. Okay. So it's a relatively simple application in that regard. Down on the Britton Avenue, where the development's going on near Crooked Street, there's a big pile of rock down there. And I brought you some show and tell here tonight. Because I always like to give you something, right? And the proposal is to take that big pile of rock that's down there and put it in some trucks, drive it down Route 72 to Route 177, and put it over on the property owned by the Gardens. And this property is, most of you may recall, was up for a PDD application just about 3.5 years ago. And the public hearing had been set on it, and then the end user backed out, and it was postponed, was canceled at that point. Since then, the Ferguson entities have bought the northern portion of the property, so that the property line now is, if you're out there, it's more or less the middle of the hill where the old residence used to be, if you recall that. And the property that's left is about 35 acres. So we're looking to take some of the stone, we'll take all the stone that's over there on the Britton Avenue, move it over during normal business hours, 7 to 3 in the afternoon, 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and deposit it for a future base for development on the site, which now is projected to be, well, could be looking at a large-scale residential, multifamily residential development. Unlike a lot of special exceptions that go on forever, this one is really just a short-term one, probably 6 months or so. The number of trucks per day is relatively limited, about 3 dozen trucks a day or so, for an hour. As you probably know, it's a very heavily trafficked area out there. So, you know, the trucks aren't going to cause any more traffic than what's there already. we've got some comments in from your consultant. The one that causes the biggest issue is the issue of whether or not this activity is permitted without a comprehensive plan or an approved, in conjunction with an approved plan. And I've spoke briefly with Mr. Bossy about it, and there is no approved plan at this point in time. It's clearly a projection. The regulations would allow the reclamation of property, but we don't see that fits the definition of reclamation either. I think there would have had to have been excavation that you'd then look to fill in, or maybe some type of erosion or something like that would make it a permitted use. I am prepared to go ahead and file, I've got it all prepared to apply for a variance that would allow the deposition of more than 75 cubic yards. Right now, anything 75 cubic yards or under is allowed. And the interesting thing with that regulation is, if you think about it, we've got probably 10 or 12 different zoning regulations in town, between the commercial and general commercial and residential, industrial, and they all have different setbacks and sizes and everything. But when it comes to deposition of material, it's 75 yards no matter how big the site is, whether it's a half an acre or whether it's like this site, like 35 acres. So I think given that, there may be a pretty good chance to get a variance given the size of the property. And when you look at the requirements or the protection that the regulations look to offer, it talks about proximity to residences, proximity to water courses, sensitive environmental conditions, slopes. The site out there is, is very flat. It's been set up to be more than 100 feet away from the inland wetlands area, so no permits are required in that regard. I don't foresee that dust is going to be a problem. I've had a little bit of conversation with Mr. Bossy about that as well, and I gave you a sample of the rock that's out there. So it's not the type of material that's going to blow and cause the dust situation. I know your consultant raised that as an issue, and to her credit, she doesn't always get to, come to meetings and see things live, and she's dealing with them over in paper and such. But the pile that's been out there has been there for several months now, probably. It keeps growing, but it hasn't caused any environmental problems at all. Even with like the storms we had last weekend, it's stable, and I don't project that there'd be any issues with that. So this proposal to bring that rock over would fill probably just about 80% of the requirements that they're looking to get to fill the area over there. And again, it would take place over about 6 months. I can go through the special exception narrative with you if you wish. I don't know if you've read it or not. A few key points on it. Again, a 6-month period. There's no proposed buildings at this time. Adjacent improved properties are at least 250 feet away, and they are screened by the vegetation that's on the site. We're not in the aquifer protection zone. There are no appropriate improvements at this point in time, no utilities projected. There is where the Hall Road goes in out there, there is a sewer line under there that's been there for some time, and that will just be driven over. And then under the special exception requirements under section 4.06 of your requirement, again, the area of deposition is approximately 4.17 acres. Looking at this point to be all the crushed stone from the Britton Avenue. We specifically commented in writing this, said that this is not a reclamation plan, so I can't really say that we'd look to go under that at this point in time. Noise mitigation, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think your consultant called for it to be because of the hours that we're working, 3 to 7, which are typical work hours, Monday through Friday, no weekends. And again, dust control, I don't foresee to be a problem, and instead of having a truck on site, I'd rather that you'd consider the condition that if a truck is necessary, that it be brought in instead. Short of that, if you have any specific questions, I don't know if there's anybody here from the public you want to hear from, but it's a relatively straightforward application in that regard.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So the material coming in is all going to be similar to the material in the cup?
Yes, that stuff is really on the smaller side. There, there's a lot of stuff out there that's this big. The size of not the size of a football, but a little bit smaller.
So what's the plan for it? Just to sit on the site?
Yeah, to use as a base for future road base.
In the past, we've had some sites that have had an approved site plan that trucked in material, but didn't realize that in the future they needed that material to be processed smaller. With this amount of material being trucked into that site with not a clearly defined forward-thinking plan, my concern is what's going to happen if that material is brought on site and then it ends up to being too large for what the intent of the use of the property is, and it therefore would need to be crushed, because unless you're in the appropriate zone, you're not going to be able to process that stone on site.
It's an excellent question, and I can't answer that. So, I know that it does crush relatively easy. It's
Doesn't matter. Can't be crushed.
No,
Not in that zone.
Yeah.
I'm just laying it out there for you right now because we had an issue with it previously, and it's not allowed in the zone.
All right.
So it could be a potential problem for you. Looking through, in terms of noise mitigation, trucks that are dumping materials out the back, the tailgates are going to bang. It's just a natural process.
Yeah.
It's very loud.
Yeah, and that's going to happen at some point anyway, whether it's now or it's as part of a approved in the course of a site plan. The thing that they can do it now is you do get some ambient noise from the road traffic that's going by, but it's just an inherent thing. And, eventually both parties, the Ferguson entity and this one, are gonna come in to take that, the hill down, and it's gonna be looking to take the sand out the other way. So, development just requires trucks. I don't have an answer for you other than.
Okay. The dust control plan, is it just going to be to have a water truck available on site?
What we'd ask for with that is if the dust becomes a problem, because you can see the nature of the material. It's not a fine material. It's not sand. It's not dirt. It's rock. And so it's not going to be, I don't believe, susceptible to dust. I don't think dust has been a problem over on New Britain Avenue where the pile's been sitting for 2-3 months now.
I have that bowl back, please.
Now, there's stuff that's smaller than that. Most of the stone is bigger than that. And
It's dusty. Just saying. So I would say that a water truck would need to be present to address the dust. Do you know what exact route it would be traveled to transport the material? And you said it would be coming from New Britain Avenue,
right.
but there's also going to be potentially additional material. Do we know where that's going to be coming from and the route that that's going to be taking?
Not at this point. And it may, and some of it, Probably not, but there's a possibility that some could come from the site when the hill over there is taken down, although it's projected that most of that is sand. Certainly anything getting close to, you know, the development over there, the neighborhood over there is gonna be on the state road, it's gonna be on Route 177. It's a possibility it could come from Tilcon too.
All right, and the floodplain limits and sewer easement should be staked in the field and verified by town staff as to be protected from being disturbed during the filling activities.
No, that's fine.
What about a stormwater management plan to show how runoff from the stockpile locations is going to be diverted so that it's not discharged or flows into adjacent wetland areas untreated?
Yeah, it's all flat out there, so that shouldn't be an issue where it's gonna form gullies or run through any type of channel into the inland wetlands, but I think there's also comment that the silt fence be backed up with hay bales.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be prudent.
So, and also in terms of the special exception narrative, about future development of the parcel, there's no concept plan or anticipated applications submittal times. There's also not really a complete picture of whether this parcel is zoned for the proposed future use as a plan for in the future. And there's nothing really provided. So, you know, looking towards the way it's regulated in the regulation, it raises a concern that, you know, the activity should be associated with an approved site plan application.
Yeah, so again, that's where I think the only alternative is to seek a variance again to, you know, have a larger amount of material deposited above and beyond the 75 cubic yards, really based upon the size of the site and the fact that it's going to be well removed from any occupied properties out there.
Because realistically, the property's in an R20 zoning district, which only allows for single-family residential, age-restricted, and multifamily residential with a special exception, and open space development with a special exception. Otherwise, single-family residential and other types of residential development require a public hearing and consideration of a special exception, but are not as of a right, not an as of right application.
Yeah, a future application with this would most likely be like the prior one, and it would be a PDD. So.
And then there's no details regarding the work needed to establish the access road. No current versus proposed grades.
We can certainly work on those, provide more detail. I mean, there is a little bit on the plan. It can be made more extensive, obviously.
Any commissioners have any other questions?
How do you feel about, I mean, we could go and try to get a variance. Again, it would be based upon the relative size of the 75 cubic yards versus, you know, 35 acres. And it's not somebody, you know, looking to do it on an acre, which would be the same comparison. And if we were to get the variance, you know, it would allow us to do that, but it certainly wouldn't close the door on you because of all the other special exception criteria, and you didn't like it. But if you think it might be a possibility or something that could be worked out, and maybe it would be good to hear if there's anything from the public too.
Of course, we're going to open up to the public hearing
Yeah,
once we're
so-
done with our preliminary questions. So I guess it's, first of all, it's not about how I feel about it. It's about whether the regulations allow it or not, and whether we think it's in the best interest of the town and it follows the regs. So that's my biggest concern, is that we have no idea why this material is going there because there's no plan that's associated with. Just from right now, that's where, I'm concerned. And as far as, just going to get a variance so that the material can be deposited there and not coming before us for a special exception, whether we like it or don't like it, it's still a variance for what purpose? And we don't know based on the fact that there's a zone there that allows certain types of development there, and we don't have a plan for development. So
Well-
either way,
Well, the variance for the cubic yardage falls under a permitted use. So if we got the variance for that, then it would become a permitted use, to be able to do it, but the overall activity would still be subject to the special exception criteria.
right. And
So
if we look at the regulations as a commission after we hear what the public has to say and we hear what your rebuttal is going to be, and we determine that there's, number one, not enough information based on the comments that I've already read based on staff comment and review for things that need to be in front of us tonight, or we need to continue it, et cetera, et cetera. If we find that it's not in consistency with meeting the special exception criteria because it's solely about deposition of earth material, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. That's a decision we're going to have to make tonight. But there's pieces of information that staff feels is important as a part of the request for this special exception for it even to be complete. Any other commissioners have any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Well, if that occurs, that movement of material, is that going to be on a permanent situation or temporary until they find a permanent location?
No, it would be for that. It would be for that site, because the site is going to obviously, it's 35 acres, and it's going to require several hundred feet of of roadway, no matter how you look at it.
If you're saying that it's flat land already the way it is now, I put in 2,500 cubic feet, what are you going to do? Are they going to bring a dozer over there and surface it off, flatten everything up, or leave it in a
Right.
big pile?
Yes.
And then it's an R20 zone, like you mentioned. So what if down the road somebody wants to build, they got to move it again?
No, it would become part of it would be used as the base for the, a future infrastructure for the road.
I think it is a problem.
Niku, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just to further the chairwoman's point, if you describe the stone as being about football sized, right, and
No, smaller
than,
yeah.
but on average maybe football sized or about that size, and just again to further the point, if we have smaller crushed stone crushed somewhere else, right, that would create more dust, correct? But that's just as an assumption.
I can only say that, again, the pile that's been over there on New Britain Avenue has been there for several months, and it hasn't created a problem. So I think the nature of what the material is, see the green water bottle there, that's a good size of what some of the stone is too. It's not as big as a football, definitely, but most of it is bigger than what I gave you as an example there. But I certainly understand about crushing on site, and I guess what I'd ask you to do is continue this, and I'll make sure that if it were to go forward, that it's known no crushing would be allowed.
And then anticipating a concern about timing from 7 to 3, I know that there are residents who would like to sleep in past 7 o'clock. There are residents who are retired who would want to sleep in past 7 o'clock. Could we also see some paperwork, some study about pushing it to 8 to 4?
I think that's well within your realm to change the hours if you want to, and make it a condition of the approval.
Thank you.
You know, there's a lot of traffic out there at 7 o'clock, a lot of road noise anyway. But I would leave that to your discretion.
The only metric we currently have is 32 trucks a day. What size trucks? It says it was provided, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And what's the scope? You know, how many truckloads is this going to be over the 6 months?
Yeah. The triaxle dump trucks, this is on the special exception requirements, which is section 4.06. It's probably the 4th page in on the handout I gave you. And it's under section 4.06, number 6. Triaxle dump trucks with an 18-yard capacity. So, you know, if you look what's allowed, you know, 75 yards, you'd barely get 5 yards. You wouldn't even get five truckloads, and you're over the limit. You know, doing the math, it works out to about 6 months. 5 days a week, no weekends.
And then additionally, what's the estimated height that this pile is going to be, like height-wise? And is the silt fence tall enough to account for it?
Well, it's proposed that it's going to get leveled,
Okay.
and it's going to cover that 4 acres that you saw, you know, the area you saw on the map.
And was there any scope defined of what equipment was going to be brought in for that?
It would require a dozer.
Okay. And how many hours of that dozer working to do that?
That's something that would probably be done every couple weeks.
Okay.
Certainly not a daily thing.
Any other commissioners have any comments at this time? Okay, if not, then I think we'll open it up to the public. And we did actually have a, let's see, is this for this one?
Sign-in sheet was supposed to be for the POCD public hearing,
Right. But we have a written correspondence for this, correct?
correct?
All right. Why don't we just read the written correspondence in, and then we'll open it up to those that are here in the audience. Kurt, would you be so kind? Just make sure you put your mic on. There you go. Perfect.
Erica Paradis from Cal Halberger, sent Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, 1:20 p.m. to fantazilla@gmail.com. CC John R. Bossy, Erica Paradis. Subject, Town of Plainville, Connecticut Planning and Zoning Public Hearing Letter sent by Lily Fantozzi. Sorry if I mispronounced it in the beginning. Fantozzi @gmail.com. Hello, Miss Fantozzi. I do not oversee planning and zoning. However, I will forward your email to John Bossy, who is currently overseeing the commission. Thanks. Cal Halberger, Director of Economic Development and Special Projects, Housing Rehabilitation, Town of Plainville, Connecticut, 1 Central Square, Plainville, Connecticut, 06062. Office 860-793-0221, extension 7178, halberger@plainville-ct.gov. From contact form at Town of Plainville, Connecticut, CMS mailer at civicplus.com, sent Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, 12:57 p.m. to Cal halberger@plainville-ct.gov. Subject, Town of Plainville, Connecticut, Planning and Zoning Public Hearing Letter, sent by Lily Fantozzi, fantozililla@gmail.com. Hello, C. Halberger, Lily Fantozzi, fantozilla@gmail.com has sent you a message via your contact form at the Town of Plainville, Connecticut. If you don't want to receive such email, you can change your settings at www.plainvillect.com, user /1413/edit. Message, Dear Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I am writing to express my concern regarding the application by the Gardens LLC for a special exception for the deposition of earth materials at 0 Unionville Avenue. I understand that this property is located along a state roadway where a variety of uses may be appropriate. However, it is also directly surrounded by established residential neighborhoods with homes across the street behind the property. Because of that, I ask the Commission to carefully consider whether this proposal is truly compatible with the intent of the property's residential zoning designation. My concerns are as follows. Consistency with residential zoning. The property is currently zoned residential. While special exceptions may allow certain uses, they should only be granted when the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and the intent of the zoning district. Depositing earth materials in an intensive use that brings heavy truck traffic, noise, dust, and constant movement of materials. I do not believe that fits a residential property surrounded by homes. Impacts on nearby residents. The proposed use has the potential to increase truck traffic, noise, dust, and other operational impacts that would directly affect the families living next to the site. These aren't minor inconveniences. They affect the quality of life of the people who live here every day. Cumulative change along the corridor. Over time, this section of Unionville Avenue has seen a gradual increase in contractor and industrial type activity, along with tree clearing and the loss of natural buffers. While each individual project may seem small on its own, together they are changing the character of what was historically been a more natural and residential corridor. Residents have already seen this change with nearby industrial and contractor-related uses, including activity at Ducci and Ferguson. Heavy equipment, outdoor storage, stacked storage containers have noticeably changed the appearance of the corridor. Whether those uses are permitted or not, they show how incremental approvals can gradually transform an area that is still bordered by established residential neighborhoods. I hope the Commission considers whether approving another industrial type use would continue shifting the corridor away from the residential character the current zoning is intended to protect. Long-term character of the community. Zoning decisions should consider not only a single application, but also the long-term livability, stability, and character of the surrounding neighborhood. Once the character of an area changes, it is very difficult to restore. Maintaining an appropriate transition between more intensive uses and established residential neighborhoods is important to preserving the quality of life that residents expect. Future use of the property. I am also concerned that the long-term use and final condition of the site are not clearly defined. Without a well-defined end use, it is difficult for residents and the Commission to fully understand the long-term implications of approving this special exception or whether future activity could become more intensive over time. For those reasons, I respectfully ask the Commission to deny this special exception application. Doing so would help protect the intent of the residential zoning district, preserve the character of the surrounding neighborhoods, and prevent further incremental industrialization of this corridor. Thank you for your consideration of the residents who call this area home. Respectfully, resident of Tyler Farms Road.
Thank you, Kurt. Would anyone from the public like to speak? And this is solely related to 0 Unionville Avenue special exception for the deposition of earth material. Okay. Ma'am, would you like to come up first? You can just, when you get to the mic, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kristen Costantini. My address is 46 Tyler Farms Road in Plainville. Thank you for your time this evening.
I can't hear you. Can you put your sorry?
Thank you for your time this evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Committee. My name is Kristen Costantini, and I live at 46 Tyler Farms Road. I am here tonight to voice my strong opposition regarding the proposed movement of earth materials on the adjacent property owned by the Gardens LLC, incorporated on Unionville Avenue. My home sits on land that was once part of the historic Tyler family farm. Our neighborhood is zoned R20, and the parcel in question shares this exact same residential zoning. Over the years, we have seen this land divided, and we are deeply concerned about the long-term incremental erosion of our neighborhood's character. I ask the Commission to consider the following critical points and discrepancies. First, a significant portion of this land was recently sold to Ferguson Electric. This tract directly ties into their existing residential industrial property. Interestingly, when you look up this newly sold tract on the town's GIS mapping system, the property card reads RI, yet the official planning and zoning map shows it as R20. This discrepancy needs immediate clarification. It appears the developers are playing a long-term game like a chess match, selling off pieces to industrial neighbors to inevitably come before the board, later demanding rezoning for warehouses, parking lots, and industrial expansion. Number 2, if these pieces are allowed to be altered and integrated into industrial use, it creates a domino effect. Once the environment is degraded by earth removal and landfills, the owners of the gardens will eventually return to this board, arguing that their remaining land is no longer suitable for R20 residential development because it sits next to industrial space. The current assessed value for this 35-acre parcel is roughly the same as a single individually owned home in my neighborhood. The owners are paying a pittance in property taxes while actively monetizing the land through earth removal operations, all at the expense of the surrounding taxpayers' quality of life. Some environmental and quality of life disruptions. Traffic and safety. Unionville Avenue cannot safely absorb daily fleets of heavy dump trucks and machinery. The ambient noise and dust generated by moving massive amounts of earth will severely impact our properties. Ecology. We have deep concerns about how this will disrupt nearby waterways, local drainage patterns, and the natural wildlife habitat. In conclusion, I urge the Planning and Zoning Commission to draw a firm line in the sand. Please uphold the town's established zoning plan and the plan of conservation and development. Do not allow our residential zones to be chipped away bit by bit, leaving neighbors to live with landfills and industrial monstrosities. Thank you for your time and your commitment to protecting Plainville's residential neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you would like to speak? Come on up.
I'm Roland Legere, 15 Dickman Road. I've lived there for 50 years. I don't know if anybody realizes the amount of traffic on that highway in the last 10, 15 years. Between the hours of 7 and 3, at least 4 of those hours is bumper to bumper. Trucks coming in to turn into that area if they're coming from Plainville. And the way people drive today, nobody's going to let them in because it's bumper to bumper and they want to keep going. To me, it's just going to be one big traffic hazard and creates more trouble with the traffic. And it's just we have trouble getting out of our street. To go to Plainville Center, I have to take a right and go down Northwest Drive. I can't take a left. And it's just because it's just bumper to bumper, from 2 hours after 7 o'clock. And again, it starts up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 at times. There's just so much traffic there. And you've got 32 trucks coming down there trying to make a turn. It's just going to build up more traffic backed up. And we won't even be able to get out of our street then if that's the way it's going to be. That's all I have to say about it's the traffic. Nobody seems to be talking about the traffic. Everybody's talking about the dust and every other thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Benjamin Getterman, 5 Dickman Road. I want to make it very clear I'm here as a private citizen. My views do not reflect the town council at all. First of all, I'd like to say that I am completely opposed to this. They want to store the materials with no actual plan for the land use, for the future land use. It's zoned R20, and they seem to be making a lot of assumptions that there will be a zoning change. My second point is the wasted town resources. The police are there constantly for parties and dirt bikes. The landowner does nothing about it. Up on New Britain Avenue, the town and the state have been there multiple times because of the dirt and the dust running down New Britain Avenue. It took an act of Congress to get them to run a road sweeper. And by the way, New Britain Avenue is, I think, permanently staying reddish brown from this project. I don't want that on Unionville Avenue. Directly across from the entrance, there is a bus stop. So between the hours of 7 o'clock and 8:30, there's kids standing at that corner. And for him to come up here and say, dump trucks won't cause any more traffic, what does he think's going to happen when it's sitting there at 7:15 in the morning with its blinker on, wanting to turn left to cross traffic? And when you're pulling out of there, you can't see left if you're looking north because of how badly overgrown the site is. It's ridiculous. There's times when you try to pull out of Dickman Road, it's literally 7 to 10 minutes before you can even attempt to get out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Who else would like to speak?
Good evening. Justin Gill, 2 Tyler Farms Road. I'm generally pro-development, so I think my neighbors have eloquently provided you with a long-term position. My concern is short-term. The gentleman from Dickman Road talked a little bit about the current state of the property. We don't really have a true access plan, as I understand it, sitting here tonight. I'm assuming they're going to use what's there for an access road now with the kind of makeshift gate coming off of 177. My biggest concern is, and it was alluded to, is what is there going to be for control and for site security if you all approve this operation, this preliminary operation, and then what's going to be the long-term security plan. These neighborhoods are plagued by nuisance activity. It's not been like this. The neighbor here, 50 years. I've been here over a decade in this neighborhood. My wife grew up in Plainville. It has not been like this. We're plagued from Tyler Farms to Samuel's Crossing to the schools with nuisance activity. And I'd hate to say it. I'm not here to point fingers or throw stones, but the majority of that activity is finding access from that poorly gated area coming off of 177 onto the property that we're talking about today. So I'd like to hear more, and I would hope that the town would demand that the site be secured, regardless of what you all approve or don't approve. That should be a concern for our town and for the neighborhood. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Any commissioners have any other questions or comments at this point? Attorney Golsky, did you want to address us again?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I had one more question that I thought about, not necessarily tied to any comment that was made by the town. I'm wondering if, I'm feeling this rock, and it seems like, I'm no geologist, it seems like there's some iron and stuff in it. I'm wondering if this is, if that's the primary material that's in this rock. Is there silica in the rock? Are there other materials that are being crushed and moved to this site that might pose a health hazard?
Well, at this point, the majority of the rock that's going to look to come in is the red rock that's over there that, on the Britton Avenue. Certainly all good points that are made tonight, and they're all points that come up when, you face development with existing conditions, and there's no question that that's a tough area over there. When the state put the highway in over there at the ramp, most of the traffic is out of town traffic that flows through there. It's not Plainville people, and it's people getting to the highway, and we've seen issues with the owner of the Blue Barn has tried to come in and do before you to develop it, and it's almost impossible with that parcel. So, what John is looking to do here, he's been developing properties for 40 years. This property is going to get developed sooner or later, and this type of activity, as far as bringing in to improve infrastructure, is going to happen sooner or later too. So, I've got a list of issues here to discuss, and at this point, I would ask you to continue the hearing, and I think it would be, from what I've heard, a requisite to get a variance to get over that 75 cubic yard issue too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with continuing the public hearing?
What are we gonna have for attendance in August? We probably should continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your date in
At
August?
the end of August.
It's the end of August.
The 24th, I think.
August 24th, is it? It's the second meeting?
It's the second. It's the
fourth
second
Tuesday?
It's the 4th Tuesday in August.
Yeah, okay. So we would be through ZBA by then, at least. And I'm not gonna discount anybody's comments that they made tonight, because they're certainly they're all valid, and it's what we wrestle with.
All right, so then we'll continue it to
Just doing
August 24th meeting.
What'd you say was, John, the 24th?
I believe it's the
Yeah,
24th.
look at it.
I can find it. Thank you.
I just wanted the public to know too.
25th?
25th. So we'll continue the public hearing. We'll leave it open until the August 25th at 7:30.
Don't play the lottery, John.
I don't know.
All right, moving on to item number 2, we have amendments to the Plan of Conservation and Development. The Plainville Planning and Zoning Commission is proposing amendments to Chapter 9 entitled Business/Economic Development, page 54, and Chapter 10 entitled Guide Housing/Residential, page 63 and 65. All right, so were there the copies were listed online of the changes. So I'm going to go through as to what the changes that are before us tonight that were decided upon from our initial, as a commission's proposal, after it went to the town council and to CROG, and after it came back to us and we re-met again, and looked at what all the options were and what we thought was in the best interest of the town. So, Chapter 9, promote business/economic development, revisions to page 54. We had withdrawn the proposed amendment and reverted to the original text. That commercial or retail development of this site would not be appropriate. And that was, yep, okay. So moving on to item 2, recommended approach number 4, renumber to number 3. And that is, public roadways shall be incorporated into any development proposals that provide access to each facility, along with consideration for emergency response. Then item 3, recommended approach, item number 3, which was renumbered to number 4. Let's see. At the end of the quarry's useful life, the quarry will be closed in accordance with the zoning regulations and closure plans. Such closure activities may occur in stages as materials in specific areas are mined out or exhausted. The next item is item 4, illustration. Revised illustration modified the possible access roadway location, modified color designations, remove reference to PDD areas, added the note for preservation of key space areas. John, do you have that map that these maps that you can pull up on the big screen, or no?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Just
So that, I don't know if everyone's seen it, and it may be better to see up there from what people may have seen like on their phones or computers. And then item 5, proposed additional page, added page 54A. Let's see, revised illustration, modified the possible access roadway location, modified color designations, remove reference to PDD areas, added note preservation of key space areas, and added a color key. In Chapter 10, guide housing residential development, revisions to page 63. At the end of the quarry's useful life, the quarry will be closed in accordance with the zoning regulations and closure plans. Such closure activities may occur in stages as materials in specific areas are mined out or exhausted. Item 2, recommended approach 2024. The plan was to delete the original text, which was quarry reopened by owners truncating proposed open space low density residential. Item 3, recommended approach 2019. Item 3, public roadways shall be incorporated into any development proposals that provide access to each facility along with consideration for emergency response. Item number 4, recommended approach 2024. Item number 2, we withdrew the proposed amendment reverting to the original text. PDD approach may be considered for remaining technology park throughout the northeast quadrant. Item 5, illustration. This is revised. We modified the possible access roadway location, modified color designations, removed reference to PDD areas, added note preservation of key space areas. Item 6, page 63A. Incorporate the April 2026 version of revised illustration, modified the possible access roadway location, modified color designations, remove reference to PDD areas, added note preservation of key space areas, added a color key. Chapter 10, guide housing, residential development, revisions to page 65. Guide development in the northeast and southeast quadrants in accordance with conservation and development principles in the POCD, and the original text will remain. Item 2, a guide/manage residential development. Item 4A, consider a new R80 zoning district, minimum lot size of 80,000 square feet with a density limit of 0.3 units per acre of buildable land and a requirement for open space development. See recommendation 5.D below about also reviewing the open space development provisions. Item 3, a guide/manage residential development. Item 4B, consider rezoning within the northeast and south quadrant to R80 where sanitary sewer service is not feasible. Item 4, a guide/manage residential development. Item 5A, analyze the actual required lot sizes and densities to address non-conforming parcels. 5, a guide/manage residential development. 5B, consider creating in the zoning regulations a definition of building story. 6, a guide/manage residential development. 5C, review and consider modification to building heights requirements in residential districts to address the present and future housing units and avoid creating non-conforming residential structures. 7, a guide/manage residential development. 5D, review and consider modifications to the residential minimum unit floor area requirements. 8, a guide/manage residential development. 5D, change to 5E. Review the zoning regulations, section 1.04B, to ensure they balance the need for conserving open space, especially sensitive environmental areas, and the need for responsible residential development. Were you able to find it, John?
I'm gonna make copies and hand them out.
Okay. Okay. Any commissioners? No, there were no typos, no errors?
No.
Correct. Okay, good. All right, so let's open this up to the public hearing. There should be a list that was generated, I believe.
Would you like it up there?
Yeah, would you mind? And that way I can just call people up. Hopefully I don't butcher their names. And if you could just state names and addresses for the record too, please. All right, so you're first, Gina.
Yes. Yep. May I address the commission with a letter?
Yes.
Gina D'Amico, Tilcon, Connecticut, Public Relations Representative. Dear members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, town staff, and fellow community members, as many of you know, I am proud to have grown up in Plainville and continue to have a strong connection to this community. Tonight, I am speaking in my professional capacity as Tilcon's Public Relations Representative. Tilcon recognizes the time, effort, and thoughtful discussion that the Commission and the Town Council have devoted to this process, and also recognizes the importance of ensuring that the proposed amendments to the Plan of Conservation and Development continue to serve the long-term interests of Plainville. We appreciate your efforts throughout this process to help clarify for the community the role of a POCD and the limits of its authority. It is important to recognize the POCD is not intended to determine what a private property owner may or may not do on its property when that use complies with applicable zoning regulations and permitting requirements. We are submitting a letter to this commission prepared by our land use attorney, Tim Hollister. The letter summarizes 1, what the proper purposes of a municipal plan of conservation and development, 2, how a POCD differs from zoning regulations, and 3, how the POCD amendments currently under consideration should or should not affect zoning regulations of Tilcon's operations and vested property rights. In particular, we would like to highlight a point from the letter that we believe is especially relevant to this discussion. A POCD should begin with the recognition, description, and illustration of existing land use conditions. We believe the revisions currently under consideration move in that direction. The changes are aligned to reflect the reality of Tilcon's long-standing operations and the presence of quarrying activities in Plainville. Since 2023, Tilcon has presented specific and comprehensive plans for quarrying activities in this area. Those plans were reviewed by the Commission, received the necessary approvals, and have since been implemented through substantial investment in construction. This should be a starting point for POCD recommendations, a basis for planning and recommendations that will build on these existing conditions. For that reason, we believe it is appropriate that the POCD recognizes and accounts for those existing conditions. The 2019 language of consider reducing the quarry zone did not reflect and continues not to reflect the nature of Tilcon's operations, the current use of the property, or the long-established quarry zone. The proposed amendments better recognize actual conditions and provide a more accurate planning framework moving forward. As Attorney Hollister noted in his summary, the POCD process should focus on recognizing existing land uses and property rights, acknowledging the long-term nature of quarrying operations, and identifying ways those operations continue to be coordinated with surrounding infrastructure and community needs for the benefit of the town as a whole. In closing, Tilcon has been part of the Plainville community since 1885. For more than 140 years, the quarry has remained an active and an important part of the town's economic and industrial landscape. We remain committed to operating responsibly and in compliance with all local, state, and federal regulations, just as we have throughout our history. We look forward to continuing to be a responsible corporate neighbor, community partner, and contributor to the town's success for many more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary Moratti, would you like to speak?
Good evening. I'm Rosemary Moranti from 7 Bradley Street, and I do want to clarify that I'm here speaking as an individual citizen and not on behalf of the town council or any other group or body. I would like to address the proposed text for recommended approach item number 3, number 4 in chapter 9, and item number 5 in chapter 10. And I encourage the commission to reconsider the revisions that are currently proposed for these items. I have been watching the planning and zoning meetings on Nutmeg TV and have followed your discussions and listened to John's explanations and reservations about some of the original language in the POCD, especially that on page 54 in chapter 9. And I do understand your questions about implementation of the original text. For example, as I've heard you discussed, I think at 2 meetings, reducing the size of the current quarry industrial zone could be a very complicated matter, and that has some real doability, issues and questions. However, my main concern is how the original language relates to a possible expansion of the quarry zone, a matter on which there has been substantial public input. Original language in our POCD may be difficult to implement exactly as written, but it can be, certainly can be legitimately referenced in order to discourage any move in the opposite direction. And for that reason, I think that the removal of that language should be carefully re-examined. I think we should also ask ourselves how much of the POCD's original intent we should be changing at this point in time, as we are beginning to approach another POCD planning cycle. And I say this especially in terms of what might be considered to be, high-profile topics. And some of the decisions about making changes in the POCD should perhaps wait until we begin that more comprehensive planning process. My other concern is about the Commission's proposed text on when the quarry closes. I'm not sure why our POCD has to make a statement on this. I am not predicting any particular scenario, but things can happen and things change. And I think it's sufficient to say that when the quarry closes, there will be a plan in place and all regulations will be followed. So for these reasons, I ask the Commission to reconsider your current proposals on these 2 items and to instead look back again at the recommended text that was submitted by the Town Council on these 2 items and hopefully give consideration to adopting those. But I would like to add that I do not have concerns with the Commission's other proposed revisions. Several of them did include changes recommended by the Town Council, and there were quite a few on which both bodies were in agreement. There had been concerns raised over the last several months about the maps that were part of the 2024 amendment, and I had some real concerns about that as well. But I think that the version of the maps, which I think John worked on, that you now propose have really neutralized those concerns. So I think they're fine at this point. But thank you very much for your time and attention tonight. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ben Gatterman?
Ben Getterman, 5 Dickman Road, and once again, this speaking as a private citizen, not the views of the council. I had in my head what I was going to say, but there's 0 chance I can do a better job than Rosemary did, so I'm saying ditto. My only other question or statement would be, reducing the quarry size was good enough in 2019 for the POCD. What changed in these past 7 years? And if we're going to be redoing it in a couple of years anyway, the views of the town were in there. Were in the 2019 version. Would like to see it happen. We don't think it's gonna happen, but the majority of the town would like to see a reducing of the quarry. Again, we know it's not gonna happen. It's their land. They're gonna do what they are zoned to do. But I don't understand what changed from 2019 to 2026 when the majority of this commission was sitting here in 2019. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna butcher this last name, I apologize. Karen Makiarowski. My apologies. Did I do it okay? Sorry. You can just state your name and address for the record, please, Karen.
Sure. My name is Karen Makarowski, 2 Sunrise Terrace. I'm asking the commission not to adopt these amendments, or at least a portion of them tonight. The simple question I have is, what legitimate municipal planning need requires these significant policy changes now, just before Plainville begins its comprehensive 10-year review of the POCD? They're not administrative corrections, or at least a majority of them are not. The current POCD directs the town to consider reducing the quarry industrial zone to land already quarried, The proposal amendment deletes that policy and replaces it with a statement that it will close at the end of its useful life. The policies are not equivalent. The proposed language does not limit expansion. It simply promises closure at the undefined future point. Who determines when the quarry's useful life has ended? There's no date, boundary, maximum depth, reserve limit, or other objective standard. The amendment also refers to a closure plan without requiring when it must be submitted, what it must contain, who must approve it, whether the public may review it, or how it will be enforced. The timing is also impossible to separate from Tilcon's effort to rezone residential land for future quarry expansion. The existing POCD language weighs against expanding the quarry industrial zone, and deleting that language would allow a future applicant to argue that expansion is consistent with the town's newly adopted plan. I'm not asking the commission to prejudge Tilcon's application or its future application since it was withdrawn for expanding. I'm just asking that we don't rewrite, or the commission doesn't rewrite the town's long-term policy in a way that could support or pre-clear that application. If quarry policy needs revision, it should be examined during the upcoming comprehensive POCD review. With current environmental information, groundwater and stormwater analysis, ridgeline and trail protection, neighborhood impacts, future land use alternatives, and full public participation. The review should also examine how other quarry communities in Connecticut and other states address expansion, not just those that are quarries owned by Tilcon, but other competing type quarries, how they address the expansion, phased reclamation, closure, environmental monitoring, financial assurance, and future land use. Plainville should identify best practices before deleting existing protections and not afterwards. Please retain the existing language and just defer substantial quarry-related changes until the comprehensive review. There is no demonstrated public need to weaken this policy tonight, and there's no substantial public interest in getting it, but there is substantial public interest in getting it right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else from the public like to speak? Come on up. I'm going to pass back out the sign-in sheet just for the record. Can you just put your name and address, please?
Georgia Bedell, 28 Pequot Road. Good evening, Commission. As a resident, I just want to express how discouraging this whole process has been with the POCD. I originally raised the concern about what appeared to be a specific change to the Plan of Conservation and Development in May of 2025. We now have a written statement through FOIA from the individual who acknowledged making those changes. That change. Given that, I had hoped that this would have been a straightforward correction. Instead, what should have been a simple fix appeared to evolve into months of revisiting and revising numerous unrelated sections of the plan, consuming countless hours of Commission's time and public resources, and leaving many residents with the impression that the process was simply running in circles. Now, even tonight, we are seeing language being changed back towards the original 2019 version prepared by the town consultant. It is difficult to understand why so much time, effort, and taxpayers' money had been spent reworking a document that was developed through an extensive public process by professionals who were hired to do that. If the original work was ultimately the appropriate direction, it raises legitimate questions as to why so many additional changes were made in the first place. As a citizen, I find that disappointing. I hope that moving forward, there is greater commitment to transparency and respect for the planning process and responsible stewardship of public resources by the Commission. There are still many unanswered questions surrounding this whole process and why things were changed. I do believe those answers will come with time. Public records have a way of telling a full story, and accountability is a very important part of public service. I hope this commission reflects on the time, the expense, and public trust that has been invested in repeatedly revisiting a document that is now, in many respects, almost returning to the work completed by the town's consultant in 2019. The residents of this town deserve the transparency and sound judgment the confidence of this government is making. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you put your name on the sheet? Oh. Who else would like to speak?
Good evening, Sandra Giannini, 87 Metacomet Road, Plainville. I'm standing here tonight and I'm really should be home because I don't know why we're even here discussing this POCD and the changes. As Georgia said, you had a POCD in place, and until there was something found that had been altered and we were told they were just clerical errors, we assumed they were just going to be put back in place. With your new language in the POCD, you're including words like consider, encourage, explore, revisits. This is leaving a lot of flexibility for the future development of Plainville. Instead of apparently, I guess apparently behind the scenes, you felt the need to do this. I just don't understand, but the changes made to the document will shape Plainville's future and development. Too often, I come to these meetings or watch on TV, and sadly, I'm seeing several of the members come here and they are not prepared, haven't done their homework, not understanding documents that are in front of them, and you people are making important decisions. One good example tonight was when people talked about the size of the rocks. Have any of you driven by there in the last day or two? There's boulders this big over there. There's big cement pieces over there. Why didn't you do your homework? So I think that I'm definitely not in support of redoing this over and over again. I'm simply asking the commission members to consider the people of Plainville, the future of our generations, and those decisions that you people are going to have to live with. Public trust is earned through transparency, preparation, and accountability. Sadly, we're losing that. We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Would anyone else like to speak? Any commissioners have any comments or questions at this point?
I do, Madam Chairman. This whole issue was brought on by citizens going to the town council. We didn't find out about it till 6 months after the alleged change of the map happened. And so to indicate that we somehow are changing the POCD for the fun of it, we never wanted to. Our first thing was, let's put it back the way it was if it was changed by someone. That's exactly what we said here. And we never meet in private. We never have executive sessions. Everything's in public. So it came from the town council. It didn't come from us. And it took 6 to 7 months for it to even come to us. And some members that aren't on the commission anymore never heard about it at all. So to say, you know, we did something up here is just incorrect. You have bad information.
Anyone else?
Can I respond to his statement?
If you want to come up to the mic and speak, yeah, because it's a public hearing, it's still open, but you have to state your name and address for the record and put it on the paper, please.
Dan Bucci, 62 Metacomet Road. The issue that Mr. Pettit just raised that, and I'm assuming he's speaking as the council as a whole, did not find out about this for 6 months.
I said we didn't find it.
Yes.
Planning and zoning, not the
Yeah,
council.
right, Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm sorry. Commission is the correct word. Commission didn't find out till about 6 months later. When I first appeared before you guys back on April 8th of last year, I didn't know what a POCD was. I looked it up 10 minutes before the meeting, and I put myself in the position of what would I do if I was on the commission. So if I was on the commission for that zone change application, I would have had all the application materials, correct? I'm assuming yes, I would have all the materials. So here's...
You know, it is a public hearing,
Yeah.
but it's not a free-for-all.
Okay.
So we have to stay relevant to the POCD and the information that is in front of us.
So perfect.
So if you could try to stay relevant, that would be great.
Yeah, perfectly relevant. So on April 1st, for that zone application, a letter from SLR was sent to the Planning and Zoning Commission with the words however. So however means something else. It highlighted the change in the POCD that you didn't find out 6 months later. There's also a kind of a kindergarten flashcard type of thing that says old, new. That document says old POCD, new POCD, which highlights the alleged illegal change by the former town planner. So everybody knew on April 1st when those documents were submitted. So how did you not find out till 6 months? Either somebody's not telling the truth, and or maybe commission members didn't look at all the materials because it was right there for everybody to see. Black and white saying here, however, from SLR, and then the other one, old, new, kind of hard to miss. So in light of that, I would suggest you don't make any more changes to it. Go back to what it was, because changing, I think, is going to invite a lot more stuff that nobody wants. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you put your name on the paper? I did. Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Anyone else? What's your pleasure? Does anyone see a reason to keep the public hearing open? Or would you like to close the public hearing?
I don't see any reason to keep it open.
No reason? Okay, we're going to formally close the public hearing. Okay, moving on to item number 3, unfinished business. PZ 05/26, number 17, request to amend the Plan of Conservation and Development, Bethany Ayers, executrix, to designate 34 Ledge Road, consisting of approximately 6.31 acres as open space, Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-23J, revision of page 30 and 31 of the Plainville Plan of Conservation and Development. And this application was accepted on May 26th. It was referred to the town council, the town assessor, and CROG on June 15th of 2026. And there is a 65-day referral period, and this item will remain tabled until the referral period is complete and we've received correspondence. Moving on to item number 2, PZ 06/26, number 21. This is for considering the special exception for the deposition of earth material for the Gardens LLC, map 10, block E, lot 02, at 0 Unionville Avenue, deposition of material, section 4.06. This corresponds with our public hearing that's being continued to August 25th. That item will stay tabled. Moving on to item number 5, new business. Consider the approval or adoption of amendments to the Plan of Conservation and Development, Chapter 9, entitled Business/Economic Development, page 54, and Chapter 10, entitled Housing/Residential, page 63 and 65. Would someone like to make a motion? And we have several potential options for motion.
Based on the different criteria for what you're actually going to do or could do, there are 3 motions. One category is motions to withdraw the proposed changes that you had suggested that was referred to the town council and CROG and revert back to the original language. That's the first motion. There's 3 items, I believe, in that motion. The second motion is to adopt or deny sections that both you and the town council agreed to the language. And lastly, there's 2 items that you need to have a supermajority on as a result of your differences between your language and what the town council had suggested the language would be. Now, obviously, you can deny individual items that are listed in any of those sections, but the motions that were presented to you and reviewed by the town attorney would be in the affirmative, which would mean to adopt.
So to summarize that, if we were to vote to approve the amendments based on, or the revisions based on what was presented tonight, just as is, in the bold, the way I read it,
Right.
that is,
There's 3 sections to that, as I explained, because there's 3 items that you ended up, after getting comments back, decided to go back to the original language. So
Right.
now you have to withdraw your, basically withdraw your proposed language. Because your proposed language is language that you submitted that was reviewed or changed as a result of reviewing.
I think this is very confusing the way you did this, John. Just saying. That's way too confusing.
Look at it this way, the first item, basically, the language stays the same. The second items are changes that both you and the council agreed, and you only need a simple majority. The last motion, you need a supermajority, based on the
Right,
fact.
but that's, I understand that, John, but that doesn't directly correspond with what's in bold.
It does, because the difference is that I grouped them based on what you had to do, so that you only had to you adopt this, and then you read it, and then you adopt, or motion to adopt, and you read those, and then motion to, otherwise you're gonna have to go back through and say, item number 1, we adopt. Item number 2, we deny.
Right.
I mean, you can do it either way. I just grouped them together so that you could make one motion and then list the items that motion.
This is what, not 5 of 9 at night after being up since 5 a.m. and you think that I'm going to be able to digest the way that this is?
Well, then if you're having trouble digesting it, my suggestion would be that you.
I think I need
you
to go
table-
through it
table
one
the-
thing at a time in order for us to be clear on it, because one person could say, no, I want this. One person could say, no, I want that.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's your prerogative, then you can vote on it that way.
If I may.
Yep, sure.
Mr. Boss, I just want to make sure that I'm clear, because what it appears to me, motion 2 covers everything that planning and zoning came with, and the town council also agreed. However, motion 3 is more of, town council didn't agree, and we would want to approve motion 3 for those 2 items to say we want what we wanted, not what town council.
Yeah, and the difference is because you didn't agree, you need a supermajority by statute.
Understood that it's
For those
supermajority.
2 items.
So those 2 items would be, so we would like, under motion 2, if they had like an A and B, we could say that we approve motion 2, C through E, and then approve motion 3 for 2 that are common on motions 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I mean, if the way I put the suggested motion together is confusing you, my suggestion would be that you continue this until your August meeting and you write the motion that you want to have and how you want to put it together. When I worked with the town attorney in creating the motion, this is how we agreed to put it together. Now, that's
So
just
it's-
my opinion and his opinion together.
So I guess I'm gonna go with, like, just a question on this. So the first item for the recommended approach, item number 2, if we choose to revert to the original text, then we technically don't have to do anything.
You have to withdraw the language that you put up for referral.
So where is that in the motions?
Well, it says basically, after review of town council and public hearing, we make a motion to withdraw the following proposed amendments, and that's the amendments that you proposed.
Page 54, recommended approach, item number 2, okay. And then page 63, recommended approach, item number 2. Oh my God. Okay.
I mean, this is a complicated matter. I mean, if it's not pertinent that you make your decisions tonight. If you want to go back through and read what we suggested and come up with a different format, change the format a little bit, and we can come back and we can vote on this at your August meeting.
What does everyone think?
Or we could vote line item by line item.
Yeah, you could vote line item by line item. That would be like, I guess there's like 14 or 15 motions.
I just feel like it's easier. This back and forth on this, my head's spinning already, and I want to make sure there's no errors in this, and it's too easy to have an error in here.
Line item by line item.
All right. Do we want to charge forward and fix this? Who wants to do it? Because I can't.
Just to confirm, John, if we were to do it line item by line item, we could follow, so like, motion 1 would be to withdraw chapter 9 remote business, so on and so forth. Then motion 2 would be, again, to withdraw chapter 10 guide, and so on. And then, under everything that you have under this document, says motion 2, which is to adopt, we would, again, that would be, I don't know, motion 4, chapter 9,
Yeah, that's one way to do it, but I think Jennifer's
I was saying go page item.
suggesting to go back to the
original
document.
and do it that way so we don't miss anything. You know what I'm saying? That's where this jumping around has got my head spinning. It's too much. I'd have to have like color coding or something.
First motion's pretty simple.
Yep.
That was provided by John. And that wipes out 3 things right away instead of 3 separate motions, don't you think?
Yeah, we put it here because of the microphone. The mic's not on, Glenn.
So I'll just make the motion that's set here on the paper. The Planning and Zoning Commission, after consideration of comments from the Town Council's review and the public hearing, makes a motion to withdraw the following proposed amendments. Chapter 9, promote business economic development, page 54. Recommended approach, item number 2, the original current text shall remain the same. Commercial or retail development of this site would not be appropriate. Chapter 10, guide housing / development, page 63, recommended approach, item number 2, the original current text shall remain the same. PD approach may be considered for the remaining technology park zone throughout the northeast quadrant. And then finally, chapter 10, guide housing / development, page 65, item number 4. The original current text shall remain the same. Guide development in northeast and southeast quadrants in accordance with conservation and development principles in the POCD.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion?
We're leaving things just as they were, so we're not changing anything.
Right, for those
we're not
4
editing
items.
anything.
But I want to cross those off in here as we go down. And this is the problem I'm having, is finding each one in here, chapter 10. Item number 2. Here we go.
Madam Chair, was that Mr. Pettit just reading off motion number 1?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to go down.
Because this one just strikes out the 3 items that are reverting to the original. But this isn't.
Yeah, but that says, doesn't take into account for item number 1. It just goes and it jumps straight to 2.
Recommended approach item number 2. Show retail. So this first item is taken care of. This is why this is very hard. Chapter 10 guide. Item number 2. PDD approach may be considered. And here we go, number 2. Number 1, then it goes to number 3. Right, number 2. There we go. All right, so this is this one. And chapter 10, guide housing development, item number 4. It's so hard to follow. Here it is. Three, 4.
Why don't I suggest I'll go through and I'll develop
Hang on.
the 14 motions
Just
or
wait,
whatever that you
John.
need.
John, just wait.
It's more than 14.
Development. Item 4. The way it's written it's not easy to follow because there's all these 5s, all these 4s, and you're trying to find it, and it's, when you're going item by item, it makes sense, but not the way that this is. Here it is, item number 4. Okay, and that one's going back, original text. Okay, so I'm okay with this first motion. Did somebody second it?
I did.
Okay. Was those first 3 revert to the original text? Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Any further comments or discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstention. I absent.
Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6.
6 to 1.
And that's just a simple majority, 6 to 1. So that's approved. All right. So then the second one. Do we want to go through this one and do have John do motions for each one of these? Because there's so many of them.
I think I understand. Sorry, Mr. I think I understand the motion that he put together. We want to go backwards. The town council and the planning and zoning commission are in alignment
With all of
their
these.
stuff. And so in essence, if we wanted to do everything we originally said at the last meeting, we approve all 3 of these motions.
Okay.
Motion 1 says we go back, which is what we said we wanted
And
to
the
do.
last two is just the two that we didn't agree.
We didn't agree and we wanted it our way.
Okay.
I mean, that's a simple one too, like, I mean, somebody can, it's just two items, so on that.
On the last,
On the
yeah.
last one.
Okay.
Then we can work on the middle one.
Well, I just want, if I can follow it through in here and check them off as I go to make sure we didn't miss any, I'm okay with doing it, but it's just going through for renum. Because then there's also the renumbering. Did we list the renumbering in there?
I believe I did.
Says recommended approach item number 4 renumbered to number 3 on item 2. So technically item 2 should be the first one, which is, it's number 3, but it should say in here renumber to item number 4 to number 3 in the motion. You see what I'm saying, John?
Yep.
So those are the little things that are going to change that has to be included in all this.
Right.
So that's why I'm not that comfortable with this one, because there's too many little nuances.
Okay, well, we'll work on that one and I'll get it down to every detail. But I think you can understand that the third motion is something that is pretty straightforward. I don't know where you stand on it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's the two items that you disagreed, you and the council had differences of opinion on.
So if we approve motion 3, it's what we proposed, town council rejected, and we said
As
we
long
wanted
as
to
you
go
get,
our way.
as long as you get the 5 votes.
Understood. But is that the correct
That's
understanding?
the understanding.
That'd be the original.
Yeah, see this one on the first one, you put in the motion renumber item number 3 to number 4 for that third one. But it wasn't in the second motion. Here we go. That's this one here, number 3. July 26, April 26, right here. Yeah, right here. This one here. Renumber to 3 to 4. That's number 3. And this other one. Right here. And then the second one, there's no renumbering in that one. That's 4. Approach item number 5. Okay, that number doesn't make sense to me where I found it in here. So this item 2, item 4A, you've got this one's rejected too. Look at the John on page 8. Item 2. That's not here. Where, that one was rejected by the town council. Correct?
Where are you again?
Page 8
Yeah,
at the bottom, and it goes on to the next page.
yeah.
The town's council rejected the proposed text. And this is about the R80 zoning district. And where's that in the motions for the rejection by the town council? This is why I'm doing this, is because I don't see it matching. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's missing. That's why I don't feel comfortable doing this.
Okay, well, I'll go through it again and make.
Go through
double
it
check.
again. I do not feel comfortable.
Okay.
It's too much detail and it's too much margin for error. So I say we already got those
So you can.
first 3 items on motion 1 taken care of, but then the rest of the items have to be gone through, and we have to make sure that where the renumbering is, like on the first page, item 2, that number 4 renumbered to number 3 has to be in there
Okay,
for any of them that we renumbered, and then just double check it. But I really feel more comfortable going so we don't miss any, and we make sure that we don't miss the renumbering, transcribing it to another paper for the motion. It's just too much, John.
all right.
Is everyone okay with that?
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, I just don't want to miss anything.
I'll go over that with you. I'll send you whatever. and
Okay.
Go over it.
All right, thanks. It's too hard. I'd have to color code it to do it. All right, so we'll continue addressing those motions. So let's table that item until let's make a motion to table that until our next meeting on April 25th. Someone like to make a motion to table?
August 25th.
August 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
To table it.
Table it till August 25.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 2, PZ07/26, number 22, site plan modification, TTZ LLC, 4 Austin Place, modify existing approved site plan to add an underground propane tank, add additional fencing, and modify approved landscaping materials. Good evening.
Good evening.
You don't have to put your name on
I know?
that. That's
Good.
okay. No, that was just for that last one. If you could just state your name and address. for
Yeah,
the
my name's
record.
Adam Zadrozny, 378 Meadow Road. I am the owner of 4 Austin Place, and I'm here to talk about the 3 items. The first one's going to be to add an underground propane tank for a source of heat. It's going to be located underground, east side part of the property closest to Austin Place.
So where is it gonna be again? I'm sorry.
It's going to be with a front, coming off Austin Place on the front entry side. It's the easterly part of the property, closest to Austin Place. So in between my building and Austin Place.
Just out of curiosity, why underground?
I don't want to go above ground, so you have to see it. And I don't want to go oil inside the shop either. So
Right over here.
That's standard with propane tanks underground?
You can go underground or overground, but then you have to look at the tank instead of just looking at a 12-inch green lid that sticks out 5 or 6 inches.
Okay.
Which sheet did you have to address the change? Is it on C1?
It's on C1. Yep.
That's what I thought.
I think all 3 changes are on C1.
How big's the tank?
That's a 330-gallon tank, so it's 10 feet by 30 inches.
Not a big tank?
Nope.
Where is it labeled?
It's
Still here, you follow.
Oh, there it is, right there. I'm trying to find it. So you know what the hard thing is there's a lot of proposed on here, but there's no date of when it's proposed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm looking, I'm like, I see all this proposed, and I'm like, wait, this is already approved. Okay. Was there any notification due to aquifer? That's just part of the application? None? No need?
There's no need to, I don't.
No aquifer, it's just in here in the packet? All the way over there.
Is it gonna be encased in like a concrete pad or just direct burial?
No, just direct buried with sand.
Direct burial.
Everything looks good from your end, John?
Yes. Yeah, you have the comment, I gave you the comments from the consultant. There's no objection, there's nothing that's
I don't-
outstanding on this.
What comments?
There's a short little email from Tyke.
I don't have an email from Tyke.
It's your copy though. Did I forget to hand them out?
I didn't see him, no. Oops. Okay. Okay. Any commissioners have any other questions?
Yeah, thank you. Did a good job. Yeah.
You said there's fencing around it and there's gonna be landscaping?
No, that's the next part is to add more fencing along a border property.
What do you mean it's the next part?
There are 3 modifications. One, to add a propane tank. Second being adjust the fence line length, I guess.
Yep.
And then the third one is,
The reduction of trees diameter.
yeah, there was a, if you originally looked at the original plan, there's some large, super large conifers, I believe.
Yeah, 3-inch in diameter.
That's a huge conifer. That means
Right,
the
so-
diameter is 3 inches.
So my question is, we know where the tank is. And it says on the application that all this is gonna be addressed tonight, right?
Where are you,
It
changing
says-
the fence line?
The fence line is going to be on the abutting property of 105 North Washington Street. Right now, I have a proposed berm with 9 trees on it. We're talking with the neighbor. The 9 trees don't. There's a lot of spacing, so I agreed to extend the fence line throughout on top of the berm. It's approximately 150 feet of 6-foot matching fence that I already have up. That's approved. That abuts her property, which is the 105 North Washington Street.
So is the fence on here depicted as is or with the extension?
It has also, that one says proposed fence to match, I believe.
It's down on the right-hand side, the bottom part, it's extend privacy fencing to, proposed privacy fencing to extend length of berm.
Okay. Perfect. And those trees? Those are the ones you're adding?
No, those, we're gonna move those 9 trees onto my side of the berm and put up a 6-foot high fence to block the neighbor. That's kind of what I agreed to do with the neighbor after speaking with her.
So where are these trees that are depicted on here now? Not on your property?
Yeah, they're on, right now, we proposed them originally on top of the berm, just the 9 trees. Now we've taken them off and put them on the lower side of the berm on my side and putting up a 6-foot fence to block her entire property. It's about 150 feet to the tree line of where the wetlands review
That
is.
fence will be on top of the berm?
Yeah, so that's how it is now. I have all the berm up and the fence up now just to give it the extra height.
So is that clear for you, John, as to what's happening when and how?
Yeah, I mean, I understand he's taking on the, I guess it's the southerly property line in the rear. He's extending the fence from where it ends currently on your current site plan. He extended it westerly about 150 feet on top of a berm that you approved in the original plan. He's relocating the shrubs from the top of the berm to the base of the berm. That's probably the best place to put them. I don't know.
For viability. I've seen the last
usually
couple
die.
that we've had on top of the berms and they're all dead.
They all die off because what happens is the roots can't get into the soil that holds the water.
Right.
So it's a better design
Okay.
for viability.
That's what the neighbor, I'm speaking with the neighbor of her property. That's kind of what I agreed to do.
Okay, just as long as it's depicted on here so that if something goes awry, it's enforceable. And that the town knows clearly what your intentions are, and we do too before we decide whether we're gonna approve it or not. Okay. Everybody's clear?
Yep.
All right, would someone like to make if no one has any more questions, would someone like to make a motion?
Just so that you understand, he's proposing to reduce the size of the conifers from a 3-inch to what?
They're almost, we planted an inch.
A 3-inch to something less than a 3-inch.
You want to go 30 to 3. He's got some that are on his property that are 30 inches. You want to bring them down to 3 inches.
No, there's the ones we planted originally we didn't plant. Originally they were 3-inch.
Okay.
And then in the fall, I wanted to put up the berm and the fence right away. I called my supplier. I said, give me the biggest trees. I need about 30 of them. And he only had 1.5 inches, so I planted them. Knowing that they grow 2 to 3 feet a year. They've been planted since the fall. It's an easier tree to transplant and to get them to live. In 3-inch, I still can't get a 3-inch tree. That's just, I can't find them. So I'm proposing my trees they're already planted. They're going to grow. So in case there's any, trying to get my CO, there's not a problem. That's kind of what it is. I did the trees, the berm and the fence prior to doing any construction, just to try to keep the neighbors happy as I could.
Okay.
Yep.
Someone like to make a motion? Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve PZ 07/26 number 22 site plan modification TTZ LLC for Austin Place, modifying existing approved site plan to add an underground propane tank and additional fencing and modify approved landscaping materials.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6, bills and communication. We have the zoning violation, 100 Norton Park Road, construction of a parking area without site plan approval. Property owner preparing ZBA application, cease and desist notice issued November 26, 2025. Owner installed posts to prevent use of area. Any update?
The Attorney Galsky is going to speak to this item, so we can wait until the discussion on the planner's report.
And then we have the zoning investigation, 76 to
Yeah,
88
just-
South Washington.
It just got more complicated with the last storm because they lost the large tree. So on that.
Correct.
And the problem is, just so that from a tree standpoint, the problem is now you're trying to put a smaller tree in between two larger trees. It's not going to fare well when it comes to living. It's not going to get enough light or probably water, so that's where it gets complicated.
Yep. All right. We have our minutes from our June 23rd, 2026 meeting. Were the minutes in here?
I didn't find them.
Okay, well, that means I didn't get them, so.
So we need minutes.
Yeah. Well, I will work on that.
All right, and then we have the planner's report, discussion with Attorney Galsky.
Yes, there's two items that Attorney Galsky wants to speak to you about.
7 Washington Street apartment over a new garage.
Yeah, and then on the Norton Park Road, I'll just give you a brief kind of description of the first one. Your regulations in Article 1, residential zones, section 1.03, dimensional standards, subsection D standards for residential zones, and then paragraph 4A, it basically limits the use of a detached structure. You can't live in it, you can't house animals in it, and it's got to have a mid-roof height of 12 feet. Mr. Galsky wants to speak to you about creating an apartment above a garage.
I'll just give you a handout of the GIS map so you can see what we're talking. With me tonight is Brad Pinocchio. Brad's the principal of several different entities that have been before you in the past. Most recently, Big & Associates, which you granted the PDD application to convert the building to 3 apartments. He's also the principal of Gateway Investments? Gateway Palms, yes. And he has rehabilitated several homes in town. He also owns New England Auto, and so he's been a player for quite a while. He's been most of it, his input has been in rehabbing properties. And I'm going to give you some pictures. About 4 years ago, you built the house at 7 Washington Street, where I put the G. The G is where the garage is, and the pictures I'm going to give you are the existing garage that's there now. It's old, 3 bays with another picture, a rendering of what he would like to build there, which would be 2 bays with an apartment above it. There's also a picture of the house that he built there about 4 years ago, and that's under the name of North American Holdings. So he'd like to build this new detached garage to replace the really decrepit one that's there, and put a what would be not the legal term affordable, but effective affordable, because it would essentially be like a studio apartment upstairs. He's got plenty of parking on the site to be able to do it. So we're kind of just here before you informally. We got to really figure out the legal mechanism to do it, but we're just trying to get a little input from you if you would be willing to give it. On the back of the pictures, if you need to see what they are, I wrote what they are.
Can you confirm this is a multifamily property, or is it single family zone?
The blue house that's there is a 2-family. The property immediately adjacent to the north, which is 150 West Main, he also owns that, and that's multifamily property as well.
This is the lot with the yellow house next door?
Yep, the yellow house is to the north, on the corner.
Is there enough room?
Yeah, because the existing garage that's 3 bays would come down.
Yeah, but nobody uses that.
Can't get a car, man.
Oh, okay, now I know where it is.
What's that?
It's the one that burned down.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they rebuilt it to
Right around the corner. Across from the, there it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this goes against the unit density, though, right? Because
Sorry?
based on the square footage, right? Do you have enough square footage for 3 units?
That's what we got to figure out.
Based on our town laws?
That's what we would have to figure out, yeah.
Well, 'cause
But it's just a
detached.
concept in general, of having, you know, a unit above a garage, a detached garage.
That's really the beginning of the issue, is that your regulations specifically say that detached structures can't be habitable.
Right.
And then, in order to get a second level, you need to be, your mid-roof is gonna be higher than 12 feet. And that's specifically in there too. Now, I'm granted, there's been numerous ZBA variances to raise the mid-height of the roof, numerous ones. We're up, basically storage above a detached structure.
And she stored at an apartment. I don't know.
I mean, that's a major change to have a habitable space on a detached structure.
Right.
It really begs to be its own little PDD to accommodate it, and that's, you know, that's kind of what your regulations to call for, is to come before you informally to.
I mean, I don't know if I would do the PDD form. I would think that if you were inclined to allow habitable space in a detached structure, it'd be some kind of special exception.
Yeah, we'd have to amend the zoning regulations to allow, to get to there, so the question becomes, you know, do you do a PDD that's only applicable to this one piece? And that way you don't open it up across town, or do you do a regulation change that could be applicable to, you know, 3 or 4 or 8 other places across town? And it's important for me to know, because, you know, I'm the only guy who comes out at night before you, and, you know, to get an idea of what your philosophy is important too.
There's just a lot going on that site, between the house next to it with the amount of cars that are there, it's like a number of apartments in there. And then you've got this piece with 2 on it, and now you want to add a third, which is separate from the original structure. It's like multi-family complex.
You better go through a lot of zoning just to get it done.
Well, it's got some other complications because we don't sewer detached structures. I mean, so it's not just you that's you're gonna, if you were inclined to allow it, it's gonna change some other rules.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. I
I
mean,
would say forget it, in my opinion.
How would you see it happening by special exception? Because then everyone with a detached garage could come before us and ask us.
well, I mean, you're opening the door up for a more,
Exactly.
with a special exception, you're opening the door up for more densely developed areas, and you're getting away from the discussion of detached, was it AEUs?
The ADAs, the ADUs attached to them.
I mean, you kind of put the thumbs down on those in previously.
Yeah.
You want all your accessory apartments within the main structure. I mean, you didn't totally go against AAUs, but it has to be part of the main structure.
I mean, the bottom line is it would be a unit that would be affordable. It wouldn't be, you know.
Additionally, you're allowed to do this with single family now, right? Just put up
They're
a second
attached,
ADU.
though.
Oh, is it only
Yeah,
attached?
attached.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're really open. It's a major change, I think.
I just
I
don't.
think it is too. I'm not necessarily against it, but you're opening up to 50 apartments over the course of 20 years.
Well, I mean, you're in a sense, if you've been following the news, you open a situation like they have in Seattle where they're, you know, doubling up on existing houses. I mean, there's plenty of articles on that type of zoning in those large cities like that. There's plenty of, I mean, you can go on the internet and you can read about how and they're mostly in larger cities. I mean, this is something you just got to digest, I think, and provide either myself or directly or Bill directly what you feel that, you know, the avenue you want to go. Are you open to this or you're not open to this?
I just think it opens up a bunch of layers of problems.
opening up a can of worms. That's, you know,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that clearly.
it's like opening up a can of worms. You know, that's my personal opinion. I can't see it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I think not to open a can of worms would be to do as a PDD, and then it's just
There
a
again,
site.
we're gonna, you know, every time we turn around now, it's a PDD.
Well, it's an effort for people to do that, but it lets you look at things one case at a time.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, it seems lately everything we're coming in with is PDD.
And I thought that wasn't our original intent to
Exactly.
have them everywhere. There was only certain zones we wanted them in certain areas.
Exactly.
I just feel like it's, you know, getting very expansive.
Yep. I think we're stretching it.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
And then we have the other issue of 100 Norton Park Road, section 1.04-9C of the zoning regs.
Okay, this is in reply, or it addresses the issue that's been on your agenda for quite a while about the enforcement action out there, and the owner of the property has stopped what they started to do. These properties are out at the northern edge of Norton Park. I think there's 3 buildings, John, is that right?
There are 3 buildings.
3 buildings, and then formerly they were owned by a consortium of churches in town. They were put up as affordable housing, probably close to 50 years ago, I think. And about 5 years ago, that, you know, a lot of the churches are in trouble. You know, that the Grace Lutheran Church closed, and, you know, I was actually involved with 2 other Lutheran churches that closed last year and another one coming up this year. So, you know, religion has really taken a change, but the churches sold the property because they got decent money for it, and now it's really a typical market complex. And with the, you know, the living situation, there are more people out there now that can afford cars. So whereas there might have only been 1 car per dwelling unit, now with you know, a 2-bedroom dwelling unit, it's finding out that there's people have 2 cars, and the parking lot that's out there is doesn't meet the zoning regulations for the required number of spaces. So they'd like to add on to the parking. And when you look at, okay, is there 1 extra one up there? I might have given out too many, I think.
There's a whole packet up here.
Is there an extra one?
That was a whole stack of paper section, though. You gotta give us the wrong thing. There's a whole stack of a whole document.
Paper, it's a whole document. It's all like paper after paper. It's not.
Wasn't it it was a copy of the same thing over and over, right?
No.
Oh, jeez. All right.
That's assistant housing.
He gave us.
Maybe it's under it. Can I see it? I'm sorry.
We have. We're killing the mic.
You want it back?
We have this one that was from you with the cover page on it. Well, hang on, let me shut this off.
Yeah, this one's got 25 and 26 in this row.
That's the only other one we have from him.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's what you just handed, the first thing that I gave it. It was like pages 21 to 28.
All right, I'll have to recite it.
Yeah.
Just this.
Any other one there or no?
Just this thing you sent us.
Yeah, just the one I
Sorry.
handed back to you.
All right, anyway.
And then just this single paper with the map.
Yeah, but put those together from what we just discussed.
Yeah. That's all.
Under the section that deals with common interest communities and multifamily developments, there's a section 9 that talks about improvements. Can't believe it. Somebody's got to have it up there. And essentially the requirement, there's a requirement in there that talks about parking lots have to be 50 feet away from a property line. Okay? That's a long way. There's also a section in there immediately above it that talks about internal streets. I think that section of those sections of the regulations were meant to apply to a multi-family development, kind of like we have at Colonial Court, which is just opposite of Cook Street, or I think it's the Sunset Apartments that are across from Mazzocato's Bakery on the south side of New Britain Avenue, where there are multiple buildings within one complex. The bottom line is if you take this regulation that's in there that seems to apply to all multifamily, we haven't been following it in town with any of the projects that have been improved or approved within the last 4 to 5 years. It's almost like a rogue section. Would you agree, John?
Yeah, it's a section that, for the most part, doesn't apply to like your typical apartment types building, because none of them have parking areas that are 50 feet away from the property line. They're usually 25 feet or less. I'm thinking of like the one on Maple Street. That's right there. I mean, I don't know the specifics of why the language was put in, and I don't know what it would have applied to, but there seems to be a disconnect between that section and other sections in the regulations in regards to separation differences. Like, for instance, you've allowed parking in the required yards. Well, that 50 feet is definitely a required yard, no matter what yard it is. So, I mean, I think that it should be reviewed. I don't know what the right answers are, but it should be reviewed. In this particular case, on Washington, 100 Norton Park Road, there is no area for additional parking, and they're substantially under what they're required for the zoning regulations and what's actually needed. So I don't know if revising the regulations specific for this project are a good point to make, but it's definitely something that needs to be considered in general. I mean, I'm thinking of the apartment building that you just approved on New Britain Avenue. I mean, I'm sure that the parking area is not 50 feet from J. Timothy's property line, because that's about where the wetlands are. It's not 50 feet from the driveway. I can tell you that. So it's been overlooked.
But the reason we're here is because the neighbors complained, right?
Well, in this particular case, the neighbors are complaining,
Yeah, that's fine.
and they have a right to complain in a sense, because where they propose to build the parking is like within 15 feet or 10 feet from it's right on the edge of, if not included in the required yard.
So I guess, like, maybe I'm confused. So did they put the new driveway down? The new parking lot down?
No, basically they boxed it out. They put a catch basin in.
Okay,
all they
so they didn't have that previously approved.
Correct, and that's what started the zoning violation.
Okay,
And
so they have two choices. They either come before us or they go before ZBA to make it legal, right?
well, I don't know if that's a legitimate place to put them into ZBA, but yes, I guess they could go and ask for a waiver to ZBA.
Because if they don't have the 50 feet to be away from
Property line.
the property line, then technically they need a variance.
Correct, but
Okay, so technically the way the regulations are right now, without can we move this item forward somehow? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's the bigger picture that this is the regulation that it requires 50 feet. And again, like he said, that, you know, the Billy Wells's project and the Carrier project, that they don't follow that. Almost none of them do. Eric Kacharzik built down on Lower Whiting Street, you know, where he's got multifamily in there. And so it affects almost everything you're going to do. And if you want to have more multifamily, especially in the downtown area, and you want to promote and have buildings on the front of the property, like, you know, was like you would pass quite a few years ago when Len was here as the planner, you're never going to be able to put that parking in the backyard because everything is up against the residential zone. Like
Right.
all of Maple Street, all of Park Street, all these areas where you have these old, you know, multifamily, two-family developments, they're essentially all non-conforming because of this. So what I would like to do, if you would approve it, is to work with your consultant and try to come up with a solution. That's all I'm really looking to do, is to look at it and say, okay, again, because even commercial development can go up against residential development without the 50 feet. So why would you have a more intensive use that could go up against residential than what residential could do? It just seems like it's an anomaly. I don't know. And it clearly hasn't been followed.
Right, so that's a problem, is that the fact that it hasn't been followed.
We're just not catching it, like with the project we just approved on Route 10.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah.
Well, we need to decide, like, now how many
I
non-conforming things have we created?
And it may have been because it was intended for a different concept altogether. Like I said, because right either below it or above it, it talks about a street and being so many feet from a street or a road with, and I am assuming it's a whole big development, and that's the idea of if you were building multi-buildings, like let's say Sinise wanted to do multi-buildings out there on Route 177. Then they'd have to be 50 feet from the property line, but it just doesn't seem to make sense in even your downtown apartments. It makes everything on Whiting Street non-conforming.
Right.
I think what Bill's looking for, and what I would be looking for, is just a concurrence that you're open to reconsidering that section, and we can work between myself, the consultant, and Bill to rewrite that part of this, propose a rewrite of that section, and then present it to you.
I concur with that.
I think that's
Yes.
appropriate, but then we also need to figure out, when we go to look at that, what is going to make the businesses that we're saying are potentially non-conforming, conforming, to clean up the mess.
It never happened.
That's
Well,
another piece.
I mean, there might be opportunities to correct some of those errors, but the chances are that you're not going to correct them all.
No.
I mean, unfortunately, after you make every move you make, many times you can't pull it back.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's virtually any parking lots 50 feet from the property line anywhere.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, but of this,
Well, and it's just it just applies to a residential use.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to go put a commercial use next to a residential zone, no problem. You can,
Every building I own is a residential use, it's a residential use, and my parking lots are on the property line.
right.
They're not even 5 feet off the property line.
Yeah.
They're on the property line. I mean, I didn't build them, so.
Right, but they're like grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can see the effect, like if you had 50 feet either side takes up 100 linear feet.
Right. It's a lot of space.
It's gotta
Lot
really
of-
work somehow. I don't know how either.
So I
I
guess
think
what we'll
it's-
do is, I'll work with the consultant and Bill to come up with some proposed language that would address this issue, and we'll present it to you, and you can dissect it and digest it and add comments to it, and we'll rewrite it to make it work for it.
And then we'll take that and apply it to the property on Norton Place,
Right, but then they still have to come.
Norton Park rather.
Don't they still have to come before us?
They'll
Does
still
this-
have to come before you for a site plan revision.
Right, but right now they won't comply with the way the regulations are.
Correct,
So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place,
correct,
unless they went right now to get a variance.
yes. And they would have to get a variance to add whatever parking they need to add anyways, because they have no other options. on that particular site.
So even with the regulation change?
Well, what I'm saying is that there is no open space for them to add additional parking spaces without needing some kind of variance, whether it's parking in the front yard, parking in the required yard, that kind of stuff.
So is it a mute issue? They still have to have a variance?
They're still going to have to
All
have.
right, so then there's nothing holding them to going to get the variance?
No, other than the fact that ZBA will likely deny this variance because people are going to come out and oppose it.
Oppose it.
And it's a hugely substantial variance. It's not even close.
Right. Okay.
Because
I guess
it's 50
all right.
feet on the east side and west side.
Yeah, it's
All right. Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, nothing else under planner's report?
No.
Anybody else have anything for John?
I can tell you that they re-advertised the job.
Yay.
No, you know what? You couldn't give me this job. I'm looking for an out.
I thought you were retiring.
I'll share with you, I went to a bar meeting a couple weeks ago, and there was talk about the new legislation. And I think the comment was that there are only 12 towns that complied with the with the regulations so far, as far as the housing. Yeah.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? There a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank
Any
you.
abstentions? Motion carries.